She describes herself as a pint-sized partying poet, blogger and food friend from Navan, and she's on the line with me on Late Lunch this afternoon. Fiona Sherlock, how are you?
Hi Jerry, how are you? I'm not too bad.
I love that description.
Thank you. Well, I like a bit of everything. You know?
I see that from you. I'll tell our listeners why you caught our attention in here, because you posted on your blog 10 reasons to spend Christmas in Navan this year.
I did, yeah. To be honest, I've been missing my friends and family who are abroad, and I have friends in London and Singapore and Canada and all over, so it's kind of an ode to them, really. I was one of the lucky ones, and I got a good job and I could stay in Ireland, but I just wrote the 10 reasons that I want people to get excited about when they come home.
Is that a fact of life, though, for you? You're a young lady that so many have gone.
Yeah, nearly all of my best friends now are off abroad somewhere. So I've never lived abroad, but I don't really live in Navan either anymore, so I live in Dublin. So I'm kind of in between, and I can't really appreciate how people who have emigrated feel, just how it feels to have left Navan. And I was really influenced by all the stories and ballads and movies and poems that have always been written about when people have to leave the country. So I just tried to channel it in a different way to a ballad. So I tried to put it out in a blog, and just to say kind of to my friends abroad that I'm still thinking about them and can't wait for them to come home.
Yeah, and you're reminding them of all the things they've left behind. And I know it's exciting to go abroad, and it's shocking when people have to find work and that as well. But you start off, can we run through them, just skip through them really?
Fire away there.
Yeah, the first thing you say, the first reasons to spend Christmas in Navan is because you can horse it into you.
That's it. That's exactly what you want. You want a good feed when you come home.
So where?
Oh, sure, everywhere. I'd be in and out of every place in the town. You know, if you've been away for a while, there's things that you'll miss. And, you know, I'm not too bad in Dublin, but I'm sure people who are sick of eating noodles or whatever might, you know, a chicken kebab in the valley, or a trip down to the Newgrange for maybe a carvery. And then, sure, the sun supper in the China Garden, you know,
you can't beat
it for that alone.
Well, you know, you mentioned two landmarks there in the valley. It wouldn't be a Navan without the valley, would it? The Valley Cafe.
No, I know that'll be, out of my friends anyway, that'll definitely be one of the top on the list to go in and get a chicken kebab or even a plate of chips. You know?
Now, something else you love about Navan is its nosiness.
Yeah, there's always that part. You know, you can only see so much on Facebook and on Twitter and on Skype. I think you need to be there and floating around the streets and seeing, you know, who's dyed their hair pink and who's going bald, and, you know, that's a little bit of nosiness on my part now. Maybe everyone's not like that, but, you know, when everyone's home for Christmas, you get to have a good look around and you see what's going on.
Can I quote you? "Begod, that one lumped on a fierce bit of weight."
Well, you know, people change. I also said Jesus so-and-so is looking fierce well. So there's two sides to the coin.
So it's positives and negatives there. But the old local sayings, you can't beat them. Now, you're talking about getting back to 90. What do you mean by that?
The crack was only 90.
I see. And that's a real saying for the town there, is it?
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, you know, like two Irish people could have the crack wherever they are. You know, you could find them anywhere and they'd have the crack. But there's nothing like it when you're just at home and, you know, all your family are there, all the cousins, all the people you went to school with who you were shifting at the Debs and that kind of stuff. It's not the same as when you're at home amongst your own.
Yeah, and another along that theme, you continue with talking about actually being home and touching and feeling and smelling what's around you rather than Skyping it.
That's it, yeah. I know, like, I have conversations with my friends and it's just through a Skype screen, so you don't get to hug people, you don't get to smell what their new perfume is, you don't get to... It's not all the senses, so you're missing out on taste and smell and touch.
And I know you mentioned spicers there.
Spicers, yeah, that would always be a smell that would hit me walking down the Boyne Road, so I'm sure a few people probably remember it as well.
And I think reading what you have to say, I may dump me Abercrombie and Fitch aftershave. It's just, you know, some things that remind you of different memories. There you are, Abercrombie, Navan and boyfriends from Debs. You can't beat it, as they say. What about the shopping centre? It is the focal point sort of the town, and you say one of the things to spend Christmas in Navan for is doing laps of the shopping centre. What's that about?
Well, anyone who went to school in Navan will know exactly what laps of the shopping centre entail. Basically just wandering around after school and looking to see who's about, who's looking well, who's just what's kind of going on, because there wasn't really much to do. They probably still isn't all that much now to do after school. So, but at least at Christmas time, everyone will be home and everyone will be there. So it'll be the right kind of place to get your nosiness in, I'd say.
So you'll be eyeing up the talent, whether you're a boy or a girl, around the shopping centre.
I'd say you'd be having a look, all right, and just seeing how everyone's getting on, and even seeing new shops that are open and things like that. But
that's something that people will miss when they're away from home. Now, what's the shift in Navan terms? The shift?
It's a kiss, I'm sure. Have you never been shifted, Jerry?
I'll take the Fifth Amendment on that one. You tell.
Yeah, I think, at Christmas time, sure, it probably happens everywhere, but, Christmas time, and there's someone that was always there floating around in the background, and just never quite happened, so...
I'm laughing here, I live in hope. So the shift is known round. Did you shift her, or did you shift him? Did he shift you or her? And do you think that when people are home on holidays, that have a chance to shift again, or that, they'd still be eagle-eyed?
Oh, I'd say so. Once you get back into the swing of it, I don't think you're long waiting. I won't be on the scene this year now. I've got a boyfriend, but I know that when you get back into the swing of it and you see everyone again, that you get a little flutter in your heart.
So there's no shift in Fiona Sherlock this Christmas?
No, there's no shift in me.
Has he any connections with Navan or Meath?
He doesn't know at all. He's not known.
Oh, well, you'll have to inculcate him with this Navan.
Oh, I will. He'll be down on Stephen's night in the thick of it.
Good woman yourself. The news, of course, when you're away, I know you can Skype and you can tweet and Facebook and everything, but there's nothing to beat, is there, getting the news firsthand? And
face-to-face.
Yeah.
And there's big things that people don't want to say, or maybe they just can't bring themselves to say over it. So that's nearly a good and a bad thing, that, sometimes it's good news, sometimes it might not be great news either, but... there's nothing like hearing it from the horse's mouth.
For certain, and you get the reaction and the drama and everything that goes with that. And of course, Christmas Eve spent in your local is something that you think is a big attraction.
Oh, I think so, definitely, because, there's nothing like going back to your old local, and each pub in Navan has such a distinct kind of identity, and, there's different things you'd associate with it, different crowds be drinking in different places, and your local is your local. It's the closest thing to your home outside the house, nearly, when you're coming home and you're meeting friends and things like that.
Where are the big watering holes that were your favourites, or still are your favourites in Navan?
Well, I'd have to say mine has always been Smith's in the square in Navan. I've always drank there, and sure, I'll probably find myself out there freezing now this year. But there's a few different places, like Ryan's and Henry Loughran's and Clem's, and there's actually a friend of mine is actually opening a new bar in Navan,
right, over
the Central on Gate Street, and they're going to be playing kind of different music as well for the music snob. So it'll be something a bit different.
Music snobs? What do you mean by that? What would they be into?
From what it's Carpe Diem, and it'll be just for people who have taste in kind of good and creative music. They're trying to avoid the cheesiness. Now, I think everyone loves a bit of cheese, but sometimes you can get a bit sick of it nearly. So I think that's the kind of focus they're going to be, and it'll be a new pub to try, and that's nearly all that I'm concerned about as well.
You wouldn't want to be working with me here on this show. You'd be swimming in cheese every day of the week, they'll tell you. Now, 2 more to go. The shopping centre part 2, what's that?
Yeah, when I started going out first a few years ago, they had just kind of brought in the late night shop, and so it's kind of nearly too tempting. It's 4:30 and you're finished in Supermax, and then you remember the Tesco's still open.
And you head for every little helps at that stage, is that it?
Yeah, well, I found myself in there a few times picking up random bits and bobs that, appeared to be great value at the time, but it's a bit too tempting just as a place to wander around. It's just because I can't get enough of the shopping centre that I have to go there in the middle of the night.
Oh my, you are really have it bad, Fiona Sherlock, when you have to do laps at the shopping centre at 4:30am in the morning when it's still open after a kebab and a night out in the town. And finally, disco dancing. I never realised that disco dancing was so important to the people in Navan.
Oh, I think Stephen's night will be the highlight of the social calendar for many now in Navan. But everyone's home, and you've done the family thing, and you've been there blathering away to your mother for 3 days solid without any sleep. I think once you get in and you can get dolled up and you can go out dancing, and there's all the old cheese comes on, and and you can have a bit of crack, and Yeah, head down to the palace, and I think you forget, like, if you've been away, like, I'm only as far as Dublin, but I think no matter where you're after coming from, be it Australia or England or Cork or anywhere, that, like, once you're there and you're dancing away with all your best friends, you're from Navan, like, you're in Navan, you're from Navan, and you're home.
And there's nothing to beat it, and everybody coming back. Are you expecting there'll be a big influx back to the town this year, or does it happen every year?
Well, I'm sure it happens every year, but for me this year will be kind of more than any other year before, because I finished college up there about 2 years ago, so a lot of people went off then at that stage. So I've got people coming home from the Netherlands and Australia and Singapore and London, so they're people I've just missed them all, so it'd be really nice to see them.
So you're really looking forward to it more than ever this year?
Oh, definitely, and I think home always holds a really special and emotive place in our hearts and in our minds. And so, like, when so many people are away from home, that nostalgia and those memories can kind of get you through the harder times, whether you're maybe flying across Australia or just like me getting the dart in now from the RDS this morning into town. I think those little moments they're where you make memories, and you can keep them with you then for the whole year. Yeah,
and isn't that the nice thing about Christmas? Families and friends getting together and coming home. I think it makes it so special. I forgot to ask you, what about the old bull in the square? Will you be giving him an owl a jip at maybe 3 or 4 in the morning?
Well, I haven't gotten my picture taken with him yet, so I'm going to that'll be up on my list as well. I'm going to have to make sure I get a picture taken with him now. I don't think I'd chance climbing up on top of him, though. Not in a pair of stilettos with ice.
I'd say there's a few bucks, though, would try, no matter what he was like or the weather was like or what they were wearing.
My little brother, who actually asked me to say hello to him, Colin, he's out in England somewhere. I know for a fact he's a fan of riding that bull. So
is he?
Oh, he'd be up there the whole time. So
really?
Yeah, so anyone who's in Navan over Christmas, watch out.
Colin Sherlock will be one of the boys giving the bull a go in the square. Do you like it as a landmark? There was a lot of controversy when it went up there. I
like the idea behind it, because we do have great agricultural roots, and it's nice to remember that the market square, there used to be a market on it. I think when you're coming up Timmins' Hill and you're looking at the Danglies, it might not be all that appealing. But
I love it.
I think it's very it's a good representation of the town, you know. I can't really imagine anything else they'd have there.
You're a Navan woman through and through.
Oh, that's it, Jerry, 100%.
I just get that from you, and I have to compliment you on your blog. There's lots more there besides. If people want to have a look at it, how do they find you on the World Wide Web?
Well, the address is just fionasherlock.wordpress.com. But if you just Google my name, usually it pops up.
It'll pop up there, and you can join in and leave your comments. And lots more as well, because there's a great one as well, 10 reasons not to leave Navan. We haven't even time to get into that today, but it's absolutely fantastic. Fiona, thanks so much for joining us on Late Lunch. And I wish you a very happy Christmas and a fantastic New Year. And as they say, never forget home.
Never forget home. Thanks a million, Jerry.
Thank you
Christmas.
So much. Many happy returns. That's Fiona Sherlock there joining us on the show this afternoon. It's a really, really interesting blog. We skimmed across there. It's very funny. You'll enjoy it. And if you're from Navan, you really will associate with many of the familiar places and things that happen that Fiona touches on there. Late Lunch, LMFM Radio.